Alright folks, in this clip we're going to talk about the history of movie making, starting way back at the beginning. Back in, I believe, 1895, the early 1900s, that's when first motion pictures were produced, and they were done on those little reel cameras, the kind that you do whenever you're playing Pictionary. That's exactly what it was. You had a guy spinning the thing, exposing the film to light, and it was a marvel at the time. People were absolutely astounded as the technology began to develop and became more accessible. People would go to their silent movie theaters and be absolutely enraptured by those films. It's amazing to think about because in this day and age, the silent films are completely 100% outdated. Unless you're a film connoisseur, someone who appreciates the ancient art of the early movie making, no one watches those films anymore. They rapidly progressed, even though they were still all shot in black and white with no color. The film industry really began to pick up, I would say, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. That's when sound first was introduced into motion pictures, and that just was huge. That was a huge, huge groundbreaking technological leap. And films started to be made with, actual dialogue and music and all the different sound effects within them. The Jazz Singer, I believe, being the very first one to ever do that. Musicals began to take off, and the Hollywood golden era would be, 1930s, 40s, moving into the 50s when also color was introduced for the very first time. I believe, if it wasn't The Wizard of Oz, it was some movie around that time that was the first movie to employ color, full-length movie to employ color. And from there, the studios really ran the system back in the Hollywood golden era, which is probably why they called it the Hollywood golden era, when celebrities were owned, I guess you could say, by the studios. They had, contracts. They were contract players. During the 60s and 70s and even 80s, that all changed. The celebrities and big shots in Hollywood were no longer the studios. It became the different groundbreaking directors out there, like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola. These guys came on the scene and just completely revolutionized the movie industry by producing their groundbreaking, absolutely box office exploding films. Some of the highest grossing films even to date were produced by these men who completely changed the face of movie making as we know it. Through the 80s and into the 90s, the medium began to shift again and became more of a celebrity actor driven business, whereas say the 70s and 80s, you get a picture made if you had Spielberg or Lucas attached, which today you probably still could because they made names for themselves. But in this day and age, all you need is a box office actor attached, and there's your money right there. It's just become very much an actor driven business in the current market we find ourselves in. But the technology in even just the last 15 to 10 years has grown in leaps and bounds to where now we're in 3D high definition, and it's rapidly progressing to a point where I'm sure almost all films will be available in three-dimensional high definition, fully immersive, fully engaging all the senses. That's where we're heading. But in just 100 very short years, we've come from the first glimpses of moving pictures to cutting edge, unbelievably technologically advanced high definition films. And that in a nutshell is the history of movie making.